or sleeping. So you need to have the right thought to kind of generate this wakefulness. So what is this right thought? So right thought here is the definition is overcome greed and anger. So we have thoughts of non-greed, thoughts of non-anger. So earlier on in the first slide, you see the loving kindness and these impurities. So loving kindness meditation is to overcome anger. So we wish all beings well and happy. So this one is to overcome anger. So that's the direct antidote for anger. Then for thoughts of non-greed, we use impermanence. We think of impermanence, rising and passing. So of course we have another meditation called impurities of the body. I learned to detach from the body also. So these are the two main themes we'll be doing throughout the meditation. Okay, then this one, you have speech, action, livelihood. So basically this is your lifestyle. Your lifestyle. So a lot of people think meditation means come here, sit down, quiet, then you can achieve peace. Then once you go outside, then you can do all kinds of havoc thing. No. If let's say our lifestyle is very immoral outside, we kind of we curse and swear, we scold, we tell lies and harm people. Very hard to achieve peace. You come here, cannot quiet down the mind. No. I give an example. For example, now this talking about the mind. So now we talk about physical body. Let's say physical exercise. People go to the stadium, go to the gym, exercise. So it's like imagine coming to here like that. So they say they go to gym for how many hours? 2 hours per session, the class. And they exercise. Then after the session, they go out, eat all the junk food. They drink and smoke and abuse the body. Then won't contribute to the overall health. You get the health back to worse. So the same thing. Meditation, or you want to calm the mind, is essential to be aware what you're doing outside also, your behavior. Because the attitude you do, the mind, or the way you react to people, or the way you react to your project, your assignment, is the same with the way you react to your breath. It's the same kind of attitude you react to your meditation object. If let's say you're always very angry and a control freak, then you meditate also like that. The face like cake side, like the control freak. It's the same habit. So what we are training, or rather in this class, we are not training to sit long, We are training to change our character to be a better person. So that's the end goal, that's the end game. So what you do here and what you do in your sitting session is more or less the same thing. So meditation, we have to break the stereotype is about sitting. No, it's not sitting. Those Time magazine, those models, they sit until like, so nice like that. But inside the mind, daydreaming, cursing and swearing. So it's not about the posture. It's what you do or what you think in the mind. So it's regardless of posture. It can be outside working, at home with your family. Same thing, what you generate. What kind of right thoughts do you generate? So it's an every moment issue. Okay, so those who are not aware, who have taken the 5 precepts already? Okay, so for those who are not aware, this right speech got 4 things. Refrain from telling lies. That means try not to tell lies. And then try not to create harsh speech. That means you don't say abusive things and scold and unnecessary. Try to refrain from idle chatter. That means nothing to do. That you say anything under the sun, then it's like wasting your energy. Then the 4th one, refrain from divisive speech. So divisive speech, I think you all know. Go and say to one group of people, hey, this person say something bad about you. Then go to this person, hey, this person say something bad about you. And you create this rift between communities. So we try to avoid this. Because if our mind, our conscience is not free, how to meditate in peace. Right? So all this is to help you in your mental development also. Then the right action is to refrain from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. So these are the three things. Okay, then livelihood, basically honest occupation, honest job. Who is not working already? Okay, so we have a few not working. So now your full-time job is cultivation, full-time meditating. Okay, then this effort part is linked to all this. Effort means how to maintain the mind, the body, the speech as wholesome as possible. So anytime something unwholesome arises, thoughts of greed and anger arise, then you try to overcome them. Then if you have thoughts of, let's say, loving kindness, good thoughts, then how to maintain them, and how to perfect them. So this is right effort. So one example I will always like to give is this story, or in the scripture in the Buddha's time, the Buddha was asking his disciples, asking the student, how often do you contemplate on death? So there's this meditation called contemplation on death. Not to look forward to die, but to reflect one day we'll go through this process. It's a reality check. So one of the students answered, the Buddha's disciple, every year, my birthday, I get 1 year older. So 1 year closer to death. Then the Buddha said, no, not good, too slow, not good enough. Then another student answered, every month, every full moon, every new or full moon day. Then the Buddha said, no good, too slow, not good enough. Then another one answered, every day, when I wake up, it's like I'm born like that. Then before I sleep, it's like dying, so birth and death. You think very good, right? Buddha said, no good, not good enough. Then the last student model student answered, every in and out breath, every time I breathe in, 1 moment closer to death. Every time I breathe out, 1 moment closer to death. Then the Buddha said, bagus, this is the correct answer. Because the mind very fast. Once you purposely don't think of right thoughts, naturally you jump to all the unwholesome thoughts. So unwholesome here means anything that promotes greed or anger. So it doesn't have to be evil, You don't have to be thinking of killing or stealing. Sometimes can be just daydreaming only. Daydreaming also considered unwholesome because we are not training our spiritual muscle. Become so dependent on external thing to pull your mind away. So if we are making the mind addicted to external things, external stray thoughts or whatever you kind of fantasize or worry, then your happiness is dependent on this thing, become over-reliant. So we call this unwholesome also, part of the category. Okay, so effort means every moment intentionally generate right thought. Okay, then the next one, mindfulness. Okay, so the mindfulness, we'll talk about it in future lesson, in the, I think, 5th or 6th lesson. Concentration also, we'll talk about it further. So concentration, the word here is not about forcing, concentrate, force, no. Concentrate, the Pali word is called samadhi. So I think some people will translate it as stillness. Stillness. So it's a mental kind of stillness. So there are different levels of calm or unification of the mind. So there are different levels. So we'll talk about it in future lesson also. Okay, so this is like the general idea. Any questions before I move on? Okay. Okay, so the reason why we do these few things, like the loving kindness, the impurities of the body, and breath meditation, is come from this particular story, this Meghiya Sutta. So Meghiya is the name of a monk. So he was at that time taking care of the Buddha. That means attending to the Buddha. So both of them, they walk along a path. Then they walk past a forest. And you see the forest, like so beautiful. So this monk Megya was thinking, hey, the Buddha always praised seclusion and solitude. Then he was thinking, I just go to the forest alone and meditate. So he asked the Buddha's permission. Buddha, can I go to this forest and meditate alone? Then the Buddha said, no. Wait for more monks to accompany you and meditate together. Then he's like, hey, how come like that? Okay, how many of you here think that in order to improve your meditation, you have to go to this wilderness place and meditate alone? Nobody here. All like to sit aircon room, right? Yes. Yeah? Okay. So the second time, this Megya also asked the Buddha, please, can let me go and meditate alone. I want to try, meditating alone. Then Buddha said, no, wait for more friends to accompany you. Then the third time, he pleaded again. Then normally after the third time, the Buddha will not waste his energy. Okay, you just do what you want. So this Megya went to the forest. Then he, so happy, meditate alone. And then he realized, forest is not aircon room. Forest, the weather will change, no shelter, suddenly heavy rain, and India have a winter season, got summer season, they got a lot of mosquitoes, lots of insects. So every time all these disturbance come, then you feel upset, got greed, got anger, complain. So cannot have peace of mind. No peace of mind. So in the end, he gave up. Then he went back to the Buddha and said, Buddha, I cannot meditate. So a lot of distraction, cannot meditate. Then the Buddha said, I see, I told you already. Need to have more people accompany you. So usually, for beginners, or rather in general, to improve, they say the first criteria is you need to have spiritual companions, spiritual friends. So who you are as a person actually depends a lot on who you mix around with. If you mix around with gamblers, then whole day talk about gambling law, then you become gambler. But if you always mix around with spiritual people, people who want to do good, become a better person, then you also improve because the topic you talk about also, how to apply the practice in the workplace, how to apply it in the family, how to observe your precepts. So it depends on who you mix around with. Your conversation will also revolve around these virtues and these themes. And only when the mind is more mature, then you can talk about meditation. So that's why before we start the class, we have a bit of this kind of theoretical sharing and discussion first. It's more like warm-up. It's like if you exercise, you don't straight away exercise. You do warm-up first, do stretching and all those. Then same thing here, we do a bit of warm-up first, so we share some theory. Okay, so the Buddha advised this. If let's say you want to meditate on these few things. Of course, there are many meditation subjects. So this is one of the methods. So first, use these impurities of the body to abandon passion. Then this good will is loving kindness, to abandon ill will. Then the in and out breathing is to unify the mind, to overcome the scattering thoughts. Then the inside portion is a thing of impermanence, perception of inconstancy or impermanence. So this one is to overcome ego. To overcome ego. So that's the general layout. Okay, so it's in this Megya Sutta. Okay, so the things we are not doing, there are many types of meditation. So we are not doing any of these things. We are not doing energy healing. We are not going to do any kind of chakra, aura reading. We are not doing Shaolin, those iron jacket and all those things. No. So if you have other agenda from calming the mind, I just let you know beforehand, we are not doing any of those stuff. So of course, no refund anyway. So anyway, I'll just let you know beforehand. Okay, so these are we call it the modern 40 objects of meditation. So there are actually many types of meditation in Buddhism. So we call this post-canonical classification. That means somebody write a meditation manual, they say 40. But in the Buddha's time, they say 84,000, 84,000 pathways, 84,000 methods. Okay, so the one highlighted in yellow is kind of more or less what we're doing. We're trying to do some of those, yeah? So there are many. So on the left is a lot of visualization kind of practices. Visualize corpses decomposing, all those. So a lot of visualization. So we are not doing too much of this. Then of course, there's recollection of triple gem and all your virtues and all those. So so some of the common methods, like for example, the Thai forest tradition, or even in the Pure Land school in the Mahayana tradition, they will, for example, recollect the Buddha law. So this is one type of meditation also. Or let's say some people who do chanting, also is another type of meditation, recollect the teachings. So anyway, before we move on for the Buddhists here, how many of you consider yourself to be Theravada Buddhists? Okay, quite a number. How many of you consider yourself to be Mahayana Buddhists? Okay, a few. How about Tibetan tradition? Also. Who Rojak? Anything also can. Okay, who not sure? Not sure. Okay, never mind. So anyway, I will just give you a brief not so accurate chart on the Buddhist school. So this I kind of found on Google. So anyway, not too accurate chart. Okay, so if you look at the geographical region, so these are more like the spread of different schools of Buddhism. The ones in red are we call the Southern School Buddhism or Theravada Buddhism. So things like Thailand, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, so all these are the Southern School Buddhism. So the Northern School Buddhism are the orange and yellow. So you have the China, Japan, Tibet, Korea, so all these. So Tibetan would be we call them the Vajrayana Buddhism. So they're in orange. But they more or less use the same scripture as their Northern School counterpart. So the Southern School use a different scripture. We call the Pali Tipitaka. So the Northern School use the Northern Tipitaka. Okay, so if you look at this top branch here, see Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana. So the different schools here, there are so many different we call it sects or different orders in the Buddhist school. So the one which I'm ordained in, okay, let's look for Thailand. So Thailand got two sects, two orders. One is the Mahanikaya and one is the Dhammayut. Okay, so I belong to this branch, the Dhammayut school. So it's actually quite a new movement. It started by King Rama IV, so it's about 200 over years ago only. So it's a very new movement. So the other school, the Mahanikaya, supposedly the older school when King Asoka sent the missionary to Thailand. So that's the older school. So if you want to talk about Thai forest tradition also got two schools. So like Ajahn Chah's tradition belonged to this Mahanikaya. Then like the Ajahn Man tradition belongs to this Dhammayut school, the bottom one. Yeah, so I belong to the Dhammayut school, which is the minority school. So all the temples in Singapore, all the Thai temples in Singapore belong to this Mahanikaya actually, to the majority school. So that's just for external, we call it the ordination thing. But meditation-wise, actually before I ordained, I already learned from this, like Sri Lanka tradition. So I learned from this monk from this Siam Nikaya. So Siam is the word for Thailand actually. So it's this late Venerable Amata Gavesi. Late Venerable Amata Gavesi. So he taught a certain style of meditation and is heavily promoted by the late Venerable Guang Chao from the Tazong, also somewhere in Geylang also. So so that's the branch. The infrastructure is there, but because I ordained the Thai tradition, so I will use the sutta as a moderator. So I will use a lot heavily on the scriptures. Okay, so these are the different schools, different like Pure Land we mentioned earlier, the Zen and all those. So different schools. So different schools, we use like different like meditation objects, and each object itself will have a different result. Different result. Okay, we'll talk into the technicalities in future lesson. Okay. Yeah, so before you come for the session, some of the things to take note is this one. Light meals, comfortable clothing, and if you do not want to have too much tension or stress in the sitting, then you do some stretching. Do stretching beforehand. Then of course, if you have mobile devices, put it on silent mode. And then, if you have too many stuff in your pockets, you can empty them before you sit down. And that's about it. Okay, so now on the sitting posture. Sitting posture. So again, in my class, I don't emphasize on the sitting. So if you want to upgrade and sit on chair, please feel free to do so. We still have the bench at the back. They can clear the cushions if you want to upgrade. We have chairs also at the back, so you can sit on them. All right. Okay, so those who want to sit on the floor, we're going to introduce you a few styles. So the first one is this one, full lotus. So this is supposedly the ideal yogi's position, yogi's posture. Who can do full lotus? Only 2 persons. Okay, so if you look at, like the Buddha statue, both feet is crossed on top of both thighs. So we call this the full lotus posture. So it's supposed to be very stable, and all the feet are touching the ground. The thighs, the calves touching the ground. So very evenly spread. The surface area very evenly spread. And because it's so stable, you don't need the extra back raise. This is called the back raise. You need the extra the pillow to make your backside higher. You don't need that for full lotus. So full lotus, very stable and comfortable position. But if you're not flexible enough, then you'll be excruciating for you. So if you cannot do full lotus, don't worry. We have 50% discount. We call this the half lotus. Half lotus posture. So instead of 2 feet on top of both thighs, you just have one feet. So it doesn't matter to me, left over right or right over left, doesn't matter. You just have 1 feet on top. Okay, so the downside, because it's not as ideal as the full lotus, the downside is because 1 feet is on top, then your knee, one of the knee will be floating in the air. Floating in the air. Then you feel lopsided. Then probably you might also need the extra back raise because of the certain posture. Okay, what we want ideally is that this torso, that means the body, is 90 degrees to the thighs, the feet, the legs. 90 degrees. So that's why we need this to make your sort of like body higher, so that the angle will be at least 90 degrees or obtuse angle. If it's acute angle, then all your organs will be compressed and you feel like very stuffy and very, cramped. Okay, so that's the idea of the cushion here. Okay, so again, who can do half lotus? Okay, slightly more people. So again, if you cannot do, don't worry. Got more discount. So we have this thing called the Burmese style. So if you can look at the diagram, the feet are not crossed on top of each other. In fact, it's like parallel parking. So it's both feet parallel to each other. So 1 feet in front, 1 feet behind. So the good thing also is all the feet touching the ground. So supposedly quite stable. But you might also need an extra raise for some people. So these are the things to take note. So this is the Burmese style. And down here, we don't have a stool. Who uses stool to meditate on? Nobody. Okay, so never mind. Then the last option is this one, chair. Okay, so if you go outside and tell your friend, I learned meditation, you know. Okay, who cannot do Burmese? All the first three style cannot do. Anybody? That means you can do within one of the three. Okay, but if you cannot do, never mind. You cannot do, never mind. Just sit normally, your normal sitting posture. But if you go outside, your friend asks you, hey, you learn meditation course, right? What posture you sit? Then you tell your friend, I sit normal pose. Sometimes you feel paiseh, right? Hey, I learned something, but then cannot sit anything unique. Then never mind, we change the name. So we change it to full lotus reverse posture. We call the full lotus inverted posture. Sounds more cool, right? Yeah, full lotus is both feet on top. So full lotus reverse is both feet below. That means you sit your normal posture. So we call this your full lotus reverse posture. So next time you can tell if I sit full lotus reverse posture. And they were thinking, what kind of yoga pose are you doing? Okay, so anyway, this posture is to first check the base. Make sure the base is stable. And the bottom part of the body is stable first. So once you've chosen which posture you want, your feet is stable, okay, then we slowly move up to your spine. So we go to the spine. So if you look at the diagram here, ideally we want the back upright. So for those with back injury, then you will lean back. For those on a chair. But if you do not have any back problem, what you can do is, we say slightly tilt forward, maybe 1 degree forward or half a degree forward, whatever it is, until your whole back can be naturally upright. There's like a natural center of gravity that can keep your back upright naturally without you forcing any core muscle. You don't need to have six-pack muscle to keep your back straight. Can you tilt and find a certain angle, not too forward until you fall down. And you just find a bit, then naturally upright. You don't have to force yourself to keep yourself upright. So there is like a natural pose for this. Okay, so once you manage to find your sort of natural like center of gravity, then we can check your shoulders. Shoulders. So usually shoulders are affected by your hand posture. Your hand posture. So where you place your arms will affect how you strain your shoulder. So ideally we can follow this. You can use this, we call mudra, where both palms on top of both, on top of your thighs, or you want to put your kneecap also can. Anywhere that is comfortable and stable, doesn't strain your shoulder. I don't have to follow what the Buddha do. Okay, make sure you're rested well, comfortable. Okay, then once you're done with the shoulders, then we move on to the neck. Move on to the neck. So the neck, if you want, you can tuck in your chin a bit. So this will like lengthen the spine. Lengthen your spine at the back. Not too much, you don't choke yourself, just a bit. Okay, then that's for the neck portion. And for the mouth, some people, they salivate a lot of saliva. Then we encourage them to place the tongue, the tip of the tongue to touch above the upper palate of your teeth. That means behind the upper row of your teeth. So the tongue will act as a dam to block off the saliva. If not, some people meditate halfway, keep choking, keep coughing and coughing and coughing. There's too much saliva. So you place your tongue, use the upper tip of the tongue to touch the back row of the teeth. So that's about it. Then for the eyes, if you are not like fully immersed in meditation, then if you want to gaze, this one you can follow the Buddha. Gaze downwards. Gaze downward. Okay, so you can try. You gaze upwards and gaze downwards. See which one can calm the mind better. Yeah, so if you have nothing to do, then you gaze downward. But if you have something to do, let's say you cross the road, you need to look out for traffic, please look out for traffic. Don't say, I love meditation, cause must gaze downward, then the car langgar. So please, if you're doing some other activities, pay full attention, but if you have nothing to do, then gaze downwards. Okay, so that's about it. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, we normally give you like a few minutes break. You can go toilet break and do stretching. Then we come back for the guided meditation. All right? Share your favorite posture. Then we close our eyes. Okay, so the first method we try out is these impurities of the body meditation. So this is our, we call it the part of the insight kind of meditation for wisdom and learning to detach from the body. Learn to let go of the body. So this one requires a bit of visualization. So we start off with visualizing the hairs, the external parts of the body, the hairs of the head and hairs of the body, from head to toe. Visualize the hairs. Okay, so visualizing the hairs itself, still no Dhamma value because any hairstylist also can visualize the hair. So if we think of the hair, I like my hair, so beautiful, then you most probably will react with greed. And you find that the hair, so disgusting today, I don't like the fashion, so dirty. Then you might react with anger. So these are the both extremes we try to avoid. So how to avoid? Then again back to the Noble Eightfold Path. We first wish the hairs well and happy. So this is to reduce aversion. So the trick is to, once you finish the sentence, you wish the hairs well and happy, then quickly move on to a new patch of hair and then wish it well and happy. So this is part of right effort. Because if you lapse for more than 1 second, then the mind very creative come up with all kinds of better than AI movie generator kind of stuff. So every thought you wish well and happy, you are chipping down this aversion bit by bit. So the more you reduce this craving of aversion, and the mind will also settle down also and get calmer. So you check now whether the mind get calmer or get more agitated. So we call this skillful ways of calming the mind. That means you intentionally generate right thought. And of course, there's the not so skillful way of calming the mind, which is do nothing. Sleeping also can have calm, but we are not sleeping in this course. And then you see how far can the mind settle down. So no matter how calm it is, continue to wish the hairs well and happy. The right thought needs to be there. Once you hold on to the calmness only, then gone, gone case. So we treat the calmness as a byproduct. We emphasize on planting the cause. That is to generate the right thought. Okay, if you find the mind relatively calm, like the rate of settling is like negligible, cannot settle any further, then we call this your neutral baseline emotion. So it's a neutral state, no special levels of concentration yet. And this would be the minimum requirement to transit into insight. Okay, so the wisdom portion or the insight portion, we are going to think of all these hairs going through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So we kind of fast forward the aging process. So you just need to think of the hair, visualize the hairs growing and falling, many cycles. And as you keep looping the image, you need to mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death. Keep on looping, birth, aging, sickness, death. So if you feel lighter or you feel that it's joyful, some kind of joy appearing, means you're on the right track. There's some detachment going on. Not that you have joy looking at decaying hair, but no, this joy of detachment. So whatever meditation object we use, we are not training the hair, we're actually training the mind. Because we need to make use of the mind to visualize the hair. And regardless of what you experience, whether it's joyful or calm or peaceful, continue to keep reciting birth, aging, sickness, death. So the insight phase has no limit. The only limit is if you reach enlightenment. So there's a story of this monk, Venerable Sivali. He got enlightened just by shaving his hair. And the more you think of impermanence, the more you detach. And then you can check your ego or this sense of selfishness. Is it increasing or decreasing in intensity? So if it's decreasing, means you're on the right track. Let's say the more you meditate, then the more egoistic or the more hao-lian, hey, I know more, then something is wrong. Huh? Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? Are they truly you? If it's truly you, can you tell the hairs not to go through birth and death? If it is yours, that means you have total control of these hairs. And if you have expectation, you try to control, I don't want it to grow old, I don't want it to fall off. And will it give you suffering? Will it give you emotional stress? Okay, then the next part of the body, we can think of the nails, fingernails and toenails, and we wish them well and happy. So this is back to the samatha phase or the calming phase. Okay, and once the mind is relatively calm, then you can move on to the inside portion. Think of the hair, think of the nails growing and falling, many cycles. And as you keep looping the image, you need to keep reciting birth, aging, sickness, and death. So as long as we think of impermanence, there will be detachment, and once we stop only, then there will be attachment or clinging. So this routine is basically to let you understand or experience the attachment and detachment process. Okay, so we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? Okay, so you have a feel. How is it like when you think of impermanent or think of impermanence? What's the feeling like? And then now we move on to the next part of the body, which is the teeth. All the teeth inside the mouth. and we wish them well and happy. And then we kind of go back to the samatha phase. So we are not thinking of impermanence anymore. And you see what's the difference in the emotion. Or rather, the sense of self and this selfishness is a bit like this quick dry cement. Once you stop turning, then it will like solidify. Okay, and once you wish the teeth well and happy and relatively calm, then we can move on to the inside portion. So all these teeth go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So we can think of the teeth growing and falling, many cycles. Even though our teeth fall off the most twice, we just keep on repeating. This is just a mental detachment exercise. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? And next we can think of the skin, and the skin that surrounds the whole body, and we're going to wish them well and happy from head to toe. So all this visualization of the body is part of mindfulness of the body. And every patch of skin, well and happy, and then move on to a new patch of skin, well and happy. Okay, once the mind is relatively calm, then we move on to the inside portion. So you think of the skin going through birth, aging, sickness, and death. And as we keep on looping the image of the skin growing and falling, we need to recite in the mind, like repeating a mantra: birth, aging, sickness, death. If you cannot hear yourself, reciting birth, aging, sickness, and death means the mind go off to dreamland really. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are the skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? And now we move on to the next phase of the meditation. So we call this mindfulness of the four elements sensations. So this routine don't need to visualize anything. You just need to feel the sensations throughout the whole body. So we can classify them as the four elements: the earth, fire, wind, and water elements. So nothing mystical about them. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Then fire represents the temperature, hot and cold sensations. Wind element represents any kind of movement, fast, slow movements. And the water element represents the moist or dry sensations. So your area of attention is like the whole body in general. You don't have to purposely fixate at one point. So basically, whatever sensation that appears, we let it appear by itself. We don't have to purposely create them. And the same concept, whatever meditation object we use, is the same mental habit. If let's say the sensation appear, wow, very shook, a very nice feeling, then you develop greed. And if let's say the sensation or very painful or very unpleasant, then you develop anger. So the same concept, whatever sensation appear, we make friends with them. So we wish them well and happy. Generate thoughts of goodwill. So treat it like customer service. Every time new sensation appears, like new customer, they greet it, wish it well and happy, and you just keep on repeating. So we are making peace with whatever the universe throw at us. Whatever feeling appear, whatever sensation appear, wish it well and happy. So even though we are using a different meditation object, but then the calming process is more or less the same. So the mind should be able to calm down again to the neutral baseline emotion. And we kind of remember this neutral state. Now remember this emotion, how is it like? And now we're going to cultivate boundless loving kindness. So we're going to wish, may all beings in all directions well and happy, above, below, and all across, all directions. May all beings be well and happy. Don't have to purposely push the mind, we just make a gentle wish and let the mind extend naturally by itself. However far it wishes to extend doesn't matter. Yeah, there's no measuring tip to measure how far. And in that widened area of attention, we are going to perceive all beings as the four elements. So we are using the lowest common denominator, the four elements. Don't have to visualize how they look like. Because if you visualize certain creature look very scary, then we have certain biasness and certain emotion. If we visualize certain creature look very cute, and again different biasness and different emotion. So we temporarily do away with all those, treat all beings as the four elements. So whatever sensation appear in that area of attention, can be inside the body, outside the body, doesn't matter. And we wish, may all beings be well and happy. So this is your new mantra. May all beings be well and happy. So make sure you can hear yourself in the mind reciting, may all beings be well and happy. Okay, and if you keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy, you have the right thought, you have the right effort, and all those, and it will trigger the right concentration. So usually loving kindness may lead one to the first level of concentration, denoted by some increment in joy and happiness, and some deeper sense of peace, compared to the neutral baseline emotion from earlier. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. So keep turning the Dhamma wheel. Huh? Okay, and now we are going to add some wisdom or some insight. We are going to cultivate a more unconditioned or more detached kind of loving kindness. So we're going to change the labeling. Instead of wishing all beings well and happy, we're going to change it to rising and passing. Any sensation appear, you just recite rising and passing. If the joy of detachment start to disappear, one may experience a neutral but more refreshing or more alert kind of experience. So we call that emotion equanimity. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting, rising and passing. So whatever meditation we're doing is always in line with the Four Noble Truths. As long as we keep reciting, generating right thought, rising and passing, this is actually the fourth Noble Truth, the path to detachment. And it will lead to the third Noble Truth, which is reducing craving and stress. But once we stop only, we let the mind autopilot, then we will go to the first two Noble Truths. The mind will naturally cling to something, and with greed and anger. Okay, and before we conclude the session, I always give the same reminder that we can be mindful of impermanence or mindful of loving kindness in all your activities, whether you're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, informally generate right thought. Okay, I see. Some people boleh tahan already, so can wish your legs well and happy. You can wriggle around and okay. Any questions? Any problems? Any issues?